Hey everybody, it's the Board Game Blogger. Today I'm here to review King of Siam. Now this is a really fun game. It's 2 to 4 players, and I've never actually played it in 4 players because you play in partners. I've only played it 2 and 3. But I've played it 2 and 3 players. Half a dozen times at least, probably more, but at least half a dozen. And it's really good at 2 and 3 players. It's a very different game at 2 and 3 players, but it's really good. And it may be good as 4 players, but I'm just not really interested in playing it in a partner style game. So if you're only looking at it for 4 players, I don't know. You're gonna have to look somewhere else. But it's a wonderful, wonderful game. It's area control game, and it has, my favorite mechanic, which is alternate win conditions. It just drives so much tension, I think, when you have alternate win conditions. And you have that here. This is, set, in the 19th century in Siam. My wife likes to call it the King and I board game. And, Britain is getting involved. There's different, political infighting. And it's really an interesting game. Plays quick, plays 45 minutes. It's going to be a little bit longer, I think with the 3 players. I'd say, 2 players you're running like maybe 35 to 40 minutes. 3 players you're kind of doing 45 to 50 on average, depending on, AP and whatnot. And, the game is, it's a card-driven game, and so you're playing your cards to, put in the different political factions into the different regions of Siam. And then, once everyone passes playing cards, then that region scores, and you see which faction controls it. And it's neat because, you can pass and then you can jump back in again. It's very much a hand management game, which I enjoy. But everyone has the same 8 cards, and so timing is critical. But what's in the other person's hand. It's not like a surprise game. One guy I like to game with, he hates games like Magic and whatnot because to him it's just like, it's just randomness, because I had no idea what was in your deck. I couldn't have planned for that. Unless I played you against that specific deck, hundreds and hundreds of times, or if, I'm aware of all the thousands and thousands of cards out there. So, if that's something you don't like about card games, they don't have that here. It's 8 cards, everyone has the exact same 8 cards, and there you go. Which, some people that, they don't like Twilight Struggle for the same reason, because, the cards better than your opponent, and, you're kind of card counting. That's not going to happen here. It's just same 8 cards. There's going to be some kind of card counting. It's like, they haven't played that one card yet. They've held off, but you should be able to figure out, that they haven't played it. If it's 2 or 3 players, total of 8 cards. Rulebook, it's well done. You got English and German rules. It's clear, concise. There's pictures. There's examples. I found it was, easy enough to go through the rules. Components are good. Cards aren't terrible. They're not, the top of the line. I think they're fun. I found no reason to sleeve them. But I'm sure you want to sort of take a look at how the game plays. But I really like it just because of the alternate win conditions. Because, a faction can take power, and whoever controls the most of that faction wins, or the British can take over instead, and then it's whoever has the most support amongst all the factions, sort of in sets, wins. And I love that because it's driving the dual tensions. It's why I like PAX, which I just reviewed last month. Excellent game because the alternate win conditions. I love successors. I love games with alternate win conditions. Just not alternate ways to win. Not like, this generates me VP that way and that generates me VP that way. No, it's like the game ends a totally different way, and what you did for something else just won't matter if it ended this way. Excellent game, plays quick, but let's take a look at how it plays. Here's the board on setup. We have over here to our left, these are the different regions in the order in which they're scoring. So the first round, after everyone passes in a row, this section here is going to score first. We take it up. There's a sort of picture on the map of Thailand, or Siam, of where it is, so you can kind of see quickly on the board the name of it and how it's going to score. Now these are randomly assigned each game, so it's not going to be the same order each game, and the cubes on the map are going to be randomly drawn each game. My one complaint about the game is it did not come with an opaque bag. Because you're just doing a random draw, you basically got to get a bag somewhere else, grab a cup or something. It's too bad they didn't do that. I mean, that would be my one complaint with the game. Now, some places always have a default. So here, this is kind of the home region for the red faction. So they're always going to have 2. Now, each region starts with 4, and there's a yellow, blue, and red. And that will be, the initial setup. There's 2 yellow, 2 red, 2 blue in their own specific regions, and the rest is random draw. So that's going to change each game, along with the round order for which scores first. So it's played over 8 rounds, and everyone's got the same set of 8 cards. So this is a card that you could play. It's 2 for 1 switch, and it has to be in adjacent regions. So, for instance, the player's going to play this card. They can now switch any 2 in a region for 1. So, let's say he wants to switch, these 2 here for this one, thereby giving blue a lead there. After you play a card, you then draw a cube. So you'll take a cube and it goes into your stockpile. So at the beginning of the game, player 1 and player 2, I've set up for just a 2-player game. It's going to show you kind of what you start with. So here, player 2 is going to always start with a red and a blue cube, and now they have a yellow. So they've got 1 of each. So that's a set if the British win. So the British win by controlling 4 colonies. So if there's a tie, when a colony scores between any 2 factions, or even all 3. So if, for instance, that scored like that there were 2 red and 2 yellow here in this region, then Britain would control it, and we'd put it that way. If, however, there was how they'd done the play and then this one scored, then we show yellow has won the region. So, after playing the 1 card, it's going to go over to, the next player. They can choose to then play a card or not. If they choose to not, then we'll go back to the player who played the card. If they choose, that is, all players pass in a row, then the region scores. So, let's assume that happens here, that the other player doesn't play, and this is going to score. So, flip that over, show it scored. We can see here red controls 3-1. So, we will score that region, and then these come off the board. So now, red is controlling 1 region. At the end of the game, once all the regions are scored, if the British don't control 4 colonies, then it is whichever faction controls the most. So let's say, red controls 3 regions, and then it is whoever has the most red cubes in their stockpile. So, you're going to end the game with 10 cubes if you play all your cards. If you don't play all your cards, you're going to end with less. And, there's different cards that do different things. There's a color card in each. So this is red, lets you take 2 sort of from the stockpile, put them on to the map. Same with blue and yellow. There's sort of a 1-for-1 switch. They do not need to be adjacent like they did in the 2-for-1. There is switch order of scoring. So you can switch over here. You can say, oh, you know, I'm not sure my strategy yet. I want to see like how these things resolve. So you can switch the resolution order here. And then you can place a marker down on one of the ones you've switched, and then that one is locked in and cannot be switched again this game by another player. And then the final card here, it's just but you have to put one of each into the different regions. So those are the 8 different cards. That's how it played. It's timing's crucial, hand management's crucial. It's an area control game where you're gaining control of the different political factions. I really love it. I really like the alternate win conditions where are you trying to go for a color, and so if red controls the most factions at the end, red wins, or are you going for the British in and then the set control matters. Let's say there's a tie. Let's say end of the game, red has 3 factions and then blue has 3 factions as well. Then you just are seeing who controls the most of them combined, or if there's a tie. So let's say red has 3 factions, blue has 2, yellow has 1, and Britain has 2. So red's the clear winner, and then blue. And let's say player 1 and player 2 both have 3 red in their stockpile. So they've picked that up into their stockpile through card play. Then the tiebreaker is, well, who has the most in the next one. So yeah, I think I can't remember what I just mentioned, but in my example, maybe blue was the next highest faction. Then it is who has the most blue as the tiebreaker. Britain doesn't mean anything unless they control 4 regions. It's like they've then intervened and annexed Siam. And there it's whoever has the most sets. So, and again, if there's a tie there, if there's a tie in the set, then it's whoever did the last action will win. Whereas if in winning control of the most factions, if there's a tie initially, control of the most factions, you then go to second most factions. If there's still a tie, then it's whoever played the card most recently loses. And again, I like how the tiebreaker is the opposite under the alternate win conditions. My kind of game, excellent game. I think it's maybe out of print. I picked it up online from a online store that's more obscure than some of the major ones. So it's still available, or it was. When I picked this up, I think I picked it up maybe a year ago. So it should still be findable. Maybe not new, but used copies are definitely out there. I really highly recommend it. For a 3-player game, this is in my top 5 3-player games. Easily in my top 5 of 3-player games. So if that's kind of who you game with, if you're a game group that has 3 players, rush out and get this immediately. I think it's a very good 2-player game as well. I wouldn't put it in my top 5 2-player games, but it is a very good 2-player game. Maybe a good 4-player game, I don't know. Have never played it that way. No desire to, because there's just partnership rules. But if you game 3-player at all, run out and get this game. It's excellent. Very good as a 2-player game as well. Anyway, till next time on the Board Game Blogger.